Now, this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air. That was great. Good job, guys.
Good job. Very nice. Our musical intros are always the most fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi everyone. This is our after hours episode. As a little, we're thinking of it as like a little like debrief after this year's Oscars.
Yes.
We are straight up one day after the Oscar ceremony, and I'm sure maybe by the time this episode comes out, it'll be a bit old news. But for us, it's kind of fresh. And we're gonna try and keep you guys, in the loop about all of our thoughts and what happened that evening. And boy, was there a lot that happened that evening. We'll get into the meat of everything that happened. Don't worry, there's plenty to talk about, and we're gonna hit them all. But this is our Oscars episode, and we're just gonna go through things and talk about things we liked, things we didn't like, and things that we thought were terrible. Or things we thought that were amazing. Who knows? Just overall, what did you guys think about this year's Oscars? Because for me, I haven't been watching the Oscars until like maybe 2015-ish is when I kind of like roughly started keeping up with them and seeing what's going on and all that. And for me, at least from what I had been seeing, this is, at least as a show, I'm not even talking about the nominations or anything, the wins. Just as the show, I think this is one of their worst years so far. It was very unsmooth. I want to get your guys' opinion. Let's start with Brandon. Brandon, what do you think about this year?
Yeah. Well, I religiously watch the Oscars. I've often cited it as my Super Bowl, even if I like watching the Super Bowl as well. Like, this to me is like something that I love. Like, I love the horse race of a good Oscars. And like being able to recognize all aspects of film, because I remember growing up and being like, wait, there's more than just a director and actor involved in making something. And you think of it as like a handful of people, but it's actually like hundreds of working professionals. And my first time watching the Oscars was like back in 2006 or 2007. So it's like stretched a really long time, And so my history with the Oscars has been different than I think a lot of people, because personally I didn't really hate the way the old shows were done, having it be one of the most formal nights, seats in Dolby, people just giving out like the longest speeches ever and then being played off. But since like the Oscars have and this is very apparent with this year, has tried to reach a demographic that I don't really think is the right demographic to reach. 'Cause you never know, when you introduce a craft category, whether or not that'll have an impact on somebody who's growing up like myself, who didn't even realize that there was more to film than there is. And now they're just trying to cater to the biggest possible audience. And by doing that, they're alienating their most passionate one, which was myself. Yeah, I did not like the show. I didn't hate it. I do think it's a slight improvement on last year's faux Oscars, even if I preferred the winners last year, just because I felt like it didn't feel like the Oscars because of COVID. And I understood that, there's there's a certain amount of social protocol and health protocol that they had to take care of. And I appreciate the unique take on it. But I think that this year was slightly superior, only in that there is a lot more to talk about.
It was definitely an eventful night,
Yeah, I don't think even if we're going to be talking about the last half hour for the most part, I feel like there's still a lot to talk about beyond that.
Yeah, for sure.
And my biggest thing is I didn't really care about the show's length before.
Yeah,
and I get why they do, because they need to make money, but
yeah,
to me it's I don't care how long it takes them to talk about these films and the artistry and stuff behind it, because it's important to examine every aspect of film. And it's definitely down there with the Anne Hathaway, James Franco year.
Mm-hmm.
but it's not as bad as last year's.
And
Ethan, what are you feeling?
I'm feeling whelmed with basically, in terms of how they programmed the show, the things that they knew were going to happen. That's what I'll say. You know, I felt whelmed with how that aspect happened, knowing how, like, going in with what I was like gonna expect. You know, it was still a pretty boring show this year. I feel. I thought the hosts were awful. Maybe some of the worst hosts we've had, you know? Just the jokes were, it's weird to say, a lot of the jokes were like very offensive, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of offensive jokes.
We're definitely going to get into that.
Yeah. And just like, I don't understand, they made such a big drama about cutting certain, you know, cutting the presentations, but basically the only thing they cut was the time it takes for the people who won the award to get up to the stage, and like
and the
dramatic effect between like announcing the award. That's the only thing they really cut.
Apparently they also cut some speeches, like they cut down length.
They cut down the length of speeches. That's interesting. And it's just like, I don't know, like, this show still ran longer than most Oscars, you know, because of that.
It wasn't any shorter. It was like, dog, what the fuck?
Just so they can throw in like a 10-year long performance of We Don't Talk About Bruno, which wasn't even nominated for best song, you know?
Yeah.
Just like,
and that was without one of the best song nominees.
Get rid of the fucking songs, bro. Like, do more movie montages, less songs. That's my hot take.
Let's I'd like to switch our gears real quick, because I know we're definitely going to get into a lot of critiques about the evening, but I'd like to just first get us into the good stuff. Let's start with the good stuff, because I'm sure we're going to get into the meat of the crap later. So I want us to all go around and each say one or two things. You can have multiple things as well, like if but like try and save some for others. Things that you really liked about the night. Any awards that you were like, that's so deserved, or something like that. So I'll start with Dune. Dune wins in most of the below the line craftsmanship categories. It won 6, and it dominated the night with 6. I think the only thing that follows is it Coda with 3, something like that.
Coda
had 3.
Tammy Faye with 2.
Eyes
right?
of Tammy Faye and Coda went 100% on their noms.
Did they really?
And wins.
Wow.
Yeah, they both won all the things they were nominated for.
Yeah, so I'll shout out Dune, winning VFX, production design, cinematography, editing, original score, and sound. And yeah, I mean, Dune, I feel like in a weird way we all kind of saw that coming. And yeah, so I'm happy about that. What else am I happy about? I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about this in a second, but Drive My Car winning Best International Feature. That's pretty dope. Yeah. You know that I personally would have preferred Worst Person in the World, but that's just a me thing. You know, I'm very personally connected to that movie. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Ethan, what were some things you were happy about?
Okay. Let me see here.
Stood out to you?
I was happy about I was happy that the windshield wiper won Best Animated
Shut
Short.
up. No.
What? Because that was the best one. I really loved that one.
Fun.
No, Brandon is just he is a dead soul. It's weird. Like we sort of swapped when it comes to this. Like he's become sort of the dead, cold-hearted person when it comes to love, but I've become, you know, more optimistic, and that's why I love this short. You know, I thought it was a beautiful animated short, and I'm so glad it won because I thought Robin was gonna win because, you know, it was Armin. Let's see, what else did I like? I liked the most bearable original song one, I guess. No Time to Die. I think that was the best one. Let's
I can throw out a couple more if you need some extra. Brand, do you have anything you want to shout out?
Definitely Drive My Car for Best
Drive My Car,
International.
definitely.
Because one of the best movies of last year, one of my favorites, and one of my only favorites to get like nominated, like out of my top 5 for anything. So that's great. Drive Troy Kotzer, hometown boy, Mesa, Arizona, got the shout out.
Amazing, such a good speech as well.
I mean,
Speech
probably
was great.
I'm happy for Jessica Chastain, even though I think Penelope Cruz should have won personally, because she's like a long,
Yeah, I will say, right before Yun, I'm probably butchering this pronunciation, but Yun Yu Jung, who gave Troy his Oscar,
Award.
presented him his Oscar. I thought their interaction was adorable.
Oh
they
yeah,
were really sweet together. That was really nice. And yeah, I mean, Troy delivered probably at least to me, the most heartfelt speech of the night. Probably only next to Ariana DeBose. And I didn't know Hamaguchi was such a bubbly guy.
yeah.
He has such a vibrant personality. You would think that having seen Drive My Car, he's a little bit more sedated.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
He's kind of like the opposite of Miyazaki. You know.
Yeah.
Where
Also, the
Miyazaki's
sign
angry
language clap for Coda winning Best Picture. That was
the
cute.
handshake.
Very, very,
Yeah.
very cute. I love that. That was really nice.
Yeah.
Brandon, anything else before we move on to more meh stuff? Anything else that you were happy with, or saw that you were like, oh, that's nice?
There was nothing that was super ecstatic for me. I didn't really want DeBose to
Don't
win.
Look Up got nothing. Were you happy with that?
Yeah, that's great. Don't Look Up got nothing. Kenneth Branagh got an Oscar, even if I didn't like his movie.
I like that they showed a Dark Crystal puppet when they went to the Academy Museum. I thought that was pretty cool. I forgot the joke that Wanda Sykes made about it, but
was it
the best of the three hosts?
Yeah,
Weinstein. Remember the Weinstein?
It should have just been Wanda Sykes. No, Wanda Sykes.
Yeah, Wanda Sykes was easily the best of the bunch for
the Harvey Weinstein joke was the orc mask.
From the orc mask. Yeah,
Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
I'll quickly throw these in. It was really nice seeing Coppola, De Niro, and Pacino together. On screen. That was kind of nice.
That was nice, but that sequence was so funny. They just stood there and there's
and that was right after
they were just old
happens.
and confused. They're like, "Whoa, what's going on?"
Yeah,
and they're always like,
"Yeah, yeah." And I could tell Coppola was really focused and articulating really well, but De Niro looked like he was enjoying himself, but Pacino looked like he wanted to die. Did you guys catch Jason Momoa burping?
Yeah,
that was amazing. That was so funny. Yeah, Josh Brolin and him were hilarious together. I think they could make a great host duo.
Josh Brolin and Jason Momoa. Damn, the manliest Oscars ever. That would be insane.
Okay, let's move on to I mean, the other stuff is I don't know, before we get into the meat of it all, there's other little things that I could probably say, but they're I mean, really, does anyone really care? But it's I don't know, I thought the Ethan, you said the musical performances is something that you wish they cut out, which honestly I would agree, because I wasn't really wowed by any of the music this year, especially, and that's not any hate to the artists.
Yeah,
if you make your music, and I'm glad they get to live out this lifetime dream, probably.
Yeah.
And I bet Billie Eilish lost her mind. But for example, why the fuck did Megan Thee Stallion start rapping during We Don't Talk About Bruno? Where did that come from?
Okay.
That was probably an Academy decision to be
probably,
we gotta be hip and young and stuff. And they were
right, no, for sure.
Oh, Chris.
Yeah.
What did you think about when BTS talked about their favorite movies for 2 seconds?
That
was so weird.
I was looking at my phone for a second. And then I heard one of their voices. I was like, and I looked up and I was like, why the fuck are you guys?
What movies they talked about? Aladdin. What was the other movie they talked about?
They were talking about Disney movies because
Coco and Aladdin.
Coco
yeah,
and
they're
Aladdin.
They're like, I like Coco. I liked Aladdin, and that was it. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it just felt what? Why? Why
there
are
are
they
7
here?
of them.
I mean,
why are there 2 movies?
That's no hate to BTS. You guys know, especially that I like BTS's music. Yeah. Brandon, do you still have them blocked?
Yep.
Great. BTS stands, if you're listening, Brandon's account is right there. Go
to him. Don't
dox him right now.
Yeah. Okay. All you're gonna be you're gonna be faced with blocking left and right, left and right.
Fear me.
Listen here, trolls. You will all be faced by blocking.
I mean, I don't know. There's other stuff like Jane What did you guys think about Jane Campion beating out Hamaguchi for best directing?
Expect.
I liked it. I'm like, I think Hamaguchi did a better job, but like, I
long as it
rewatched
wasn't
Power of the
Brana.
Dog with Caroline after the Oscars last night. It's a pretty great movie, I gotta say, and
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm very curious now.
It's definitely my favorite Jane Campion movie I've seen so far, out of the 4 that I've seen. And I think, I just think it's finally time she gets recognition, because she is such a like foundational female director in Hollywood's history, you know?
For sure.
And I'm finally glad that she got her recognition at this award show. Yeah. I don't know, like, if what her future's like, I don't know, but like, I'm glad she got it here, you know?
Yeah. Also, I'm just gonna shout this out because I doubt you two are big into this stuff, but I liked a lot of the dresses that I saw, like the fashion that I saw that night.
Oh yeah.
Like, Penelope Cruz and Lily James. Brandon, I know you like Lily James's dress. She looked great last night.
And Brandon liked Penelope Cruz's. He's like, I like that dress. He's like, I like the bow tie.
Like, hey, those girls were dressed to the nines for real.
Yeah, they fine.
I like Simu Liu's suit. I thought his red suit was sharp.
Like Zendaya and Kristen Stewart had beautiful, like really dope outfits. They looked so like they just looked really cool.
They looked modern, chic.
Modern and chic, yeah. And Ethan, like you said, Simu Liu, Timothy Chalamet, and Andrew Garfield. I thought they all looked really great. No homo. At least for me.
Okay, speaking of Simu Liu and no homo, this is gonna totally derail the show. But I gotta talk to you about this, Chris. So this is gonna blow your mind more than Simu Liu working in stock photos. Did you know he worked in like fetish videos? He starred in fetish videos. Stab fetish videos. Stab fetish videos.
What is that?
There's videos.
What's a stab fetish video?
It's just like it's a video of someone breaking into like his hotel room, and he gets stabbed with one of those fake knives that gets slide in, and then he like just pretends that he's been stabbed for like a minute, and it's for like a stab fetish video website, and it's on YouTube. And isn't that
it's amazing how how interconnected this industry is. Any moving image can be turned,
or just how far this guy has risen. Like, you never see people from these kind of videos. Like, this dude just worked. He worked for anything, you know? He just fucking worked, and now look where he is. You know,
dude.
And that's just like
guy made it. He made it.
The dude fucking made it. And I'm just
did you know Jackie Chan Jackie Chan has starred in porn, but like not as a performer, but in the background and doing shit in the in the film. Like, he's done that. One of my cinematography professors at college, I'm not gonna out him right now, but he shot porn. I'm not gonna out him right now because I can't. But there is a cinematography professor that has done so.
Is it the one I've talked to?
No, it is not the one. Oh my god! That would have.
Can we at least say who it's not? Bill Dill.
Okay. For anyone wondering, it is not Bill Dill.
Little Bill.
Oh, Little Bill. Bill, by the way, if you're, I hope you're not listening to this. Hi, Professor. Okay, let's move on. Let's go into like some stuff that we were like, any losses, any snubs that you weren't too happy with. Like, I wasn't too. I haven't seen this movie yet, but I was kind of bummed that Kristen Stewart didn't get a win. But I was happy she got on.
I was so bummed. I think she deserved the win there. I am bummed that Flea didn't win at least one of the categories it was nominated for. Mm-hmm. I think it could have won animated or documentary. I really wish it won animated because it was by far my favorite animated film of last year. But I did predict Mitchell's, and I would have been okay with Mitchell's one too. I'm just angry that Encanto won because I don't really like that movie that much.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, I haven't even seen Encanto, so I mean, and who knows, maybe I'll love it. I mean, you never know. But yeah, I was bummed because like, I mean, I wasn't really expecting it because I know Mitchell's was like, you know, it's not as high profile as Encanto, but still, it's like, the big one that pissed me off though was Belfast beating Worst Person in the World for screenplay. That really got under my skin.
or Dune, because like
Yeah, it'd
adapting
be
Frank
Dune.
Herbert's Dune.
No,
That's
the
like
fuck do you do
that's
that?
an
Yeah.
impossible task, but they did it. Here's one that may be out of left field that I'm kind of disappointed. I'm disappointed that Tick Tick Boom didn't win Best Editing, even
Over
though
Dune?
over Dune. I think Tick Tick Boom
Really?
had amazing editing. It's my favorite part of that movie. And I hate Tick Tick Boom. I think that movie sucks.
He really does.
But I thought it has great editing. The way they're able to bounce back and forth between just certain places, and it cuts back and forth between places within music. I think it was really good. I'm not like majorly disappointed because I love Dune, so I'm like, but I was just like, how is that like the one thing I liked about Tick Tick Boom that I thought was really great snubbed? Oh, but here's what I am pissed about. I want to see if I mean, okay, I'm not pissed about it because again, Dune won this award, and I can't really be that mad. But like, cinematography, like, Tragedy of Macbeth should have won. Honestly, like that was like. I don't know.
Yeah,
like, in terms of cinematography wise, like I haven't seen anything like that this past year than Tragedy of Macbeth.
No, yeah, I like even for me, I love Dune cinematography, but I will say Tragedy of Macbeth as a standalone piece, I feel like is more artistically. I would lean that way. I feel like Greg Fraser winning for best cinematography this year was like on top of obviously his already breathtaking work with Dune. He has made really big strides in the industry and furthered the craft of cinematography in the industry so much over the last couple of years. Like he pioneered virtual production, Mandalorian, The Batman, and all the other movies he's done. Wrote like Rogue One, Zero Dark 30, and like this and all that. So like in a part of me is like, oh, I'll, like sure give it to Greg for his large contributions to the craftsmanship of film. But also, yeah, as a part of me is like, oh, at the same time, like Tragedy of Macbeth is in the back of my head because it's like that movie was so beautifully shot. And yeah, Brandon, you've seen that, right?
Tragedy of Macbeth?
Yeah, like would you give it to Dune or Tragedy of Macbeth or one of the other ones?
I think out of all of the nominees, and this is no slight, I liked all of the cinematography. I thought Dune was the weakest.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think each of the other films either had more fascinating framing or utilized their environments well. Whereas Dune, it did create something that enveloped me, and I still think it is worthy of a nomination, like a top 5 slot for last year. But it's down there with Power of the Dog for me, whereas I felt like Nightmare Alley really popped. Like it felt like a noir aesthetic, but it mixed like in with like the old-fashioned like worlds that Guillermo del Toro likes to play with in like his like noir films and stuff like that. Tragedy of Macbeth, Ethan's right. Like that film has fabulous cinematography. It plays with depth of perspective really well. And West Side Story is Janusz Kaminski's best work in like years because I think like often like his films look so similar, and this time
they have that kind of gray, like dark gray aesthetic. You know,
but I felt like dazzled by this movie, even in the gray portions, because they utilized that with showcasing the feeling of the characters and like this like really neutral New York in terms of like how divided it is, and not only that, but like sequences breathed with life, like colorful life too. And like the songs in a musical, it's so hard to like have like expressive cinematography that isn't overdone. And I feel like it kind of nailed the middle ground there that they needed to.
Totally.
But nothing really made me mad. Like, I disagreed with the best supporting actress picked. I thought Ariana DeBose was fine in West Side Story. But like Ingenue Ellis and King Richard
was amazing.
Yeah.
I think she should have won too.
Yeah.
Also, tough year for production design. As a production designer, like it was a 3-horse race between Macbeth, Nightmare Alley, and Dune. I kind of wanted Macbeth to come out on top on that one, but I'm not mad that Dune won either because like just looking back at all those sets and like the design that they put in everything, like it's insane and beautiful. So, and Nightmare Alley was also a really great PD film. Yeah. Costume design, I think Nightmare Alley should have definitely have won. Not a fan of the costumes in Cruella, even though I predicted Cyrano. I think Cyrano should have won, but what do we know about costume design? Actually, I mean, listen to our costume design episode of stuff.
I did pretty well on my Oscar predictions.
Yeah, so I got like 19 out of 23.
I got 9 out of 23. Haha. I
didn't even do predictions. I would just sit there, and when they announce the nomination, I'd be like, okay, my guess is that one.
Yeah.
And every now and then I get it, but not nearly enough to like compete with Brandon.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to let's talk a little bit more about the show itself, because we've nailed through a couple of our talking points about the nominations and stuff. I want to take it back to some of the things that happened that wasn't so great in the show. We'll get to the big one in the end, but I think Ethan, you touched on it earlier about like a couple of the jokes just being really either distasteful or just straight up offensive at times.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I can't speak for everyone, but like I'm of the opinion that like jokes should not have like boundaries so long as the joke is critiquing like the problem, not the good thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, jokes have ways of satirizing and making light of like difficult things or stuff like that. There's ways to go about it that's like not being offensive.
Like there was that joke about like Lady Gaga and Jared Leto at the beginning, and how they weren't nominated because of their act. Like they were just doing acts at work.
Yeah, that is like that's good. Like you're dogging on these people who are just putting on shitty accents for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's an example of a great joke. And I will admit, every now and then they got a laugh out of me every now and then.
Same here.
Like Amy Schumer, when she, like, okay, look, I'm not the biggest fan of Amy Schumer, but she has gotten a chuckle out of me a couple of times. Like when she said this year the Academy hired 3 women to host because it's cheaper to hire than one man.
Yeah.
That was something about that. I was like, you know what? Okay, like I get at the very least, like even if you don't find that directly funny, it's not offensive, and you're critiquing like, the like how like misogynistic this industry can be, especially the Academy. There's many more jokes like that. I'm sure they'll come up in a bit. But like, for example, Amy Schumer's seat filler joke with Kristen Dunst.
It's awkward as fuck.
Like, what the fuck was that? And you could tell Jesse Plemons like wanted to punch her in the face.
Well, it was apparently
they were in on the joke.
Still, like
he was so good as an actor that he fooled the whole audience into thinking it was real. That's like,
but still, like, okay, how about like Regina Hall's bit where she like gawks at the male actors?
The
and
COVID testing bit. Yeah, that was I think that was the worst
Josh
one.
Momoa. Yeah,
like, I know it's like so fucking, I don't know, white male of me to say like, oh, but imagine if a man did that, But like,
yeah.
Like, I don't know.
No, exactly. I get
like,
that.
Sure, dudes kind of suck, but like,
that doesn't make it okay.
I don't want to say is it the best thing to do to fire back by doing this, having the same behavior. I'm like, I don't fucking know.
I think she just took it too far. No, honestly, like I had no problem with her like calling the men on stage and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but when it got
the joke
like,
just kept going on, and then
it was like a pat down. Yeah, and then like humped him.
Yeah,
essentially, I was like, okay,
come on. Another thing that I happened to notice, I don't know if you guys noticed this because it was slightly subtle, but I happened to pick up on it. Certain music cues when presenters would walk out was really like poorly chosen. Like when Daniel Kaluuya and her walked out.
Yeah, they did Africa.
They were playing Africa by Toto. I was like, really? Like, really? Of all the songs, you chose this one?
And did you notice that they swapped the DJ out for an orchestra like halfway through the show?
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was like, oh yeah, they probably fired him for his garbage music picks, and they brought an orchestra to do the rest.
Yeah,
it was crazy, and also whenever Dune won an award, they played Earth, Wind, and Fire, that same Earth, Wind, and Fire song. I'm like, why don't they just play the Dune score? You know, I don't they like play the theme whenever a song wins, like whenever a movie wins? I was like,
yeah, it felt like they were doing royalty-free music or really popular music that doesn't fit the theme. Like, for example, when Coda won, they weren't using songs from Coda, I don't think. I think they were like using like royalty-free Lifetime music because it didn't feel like they could have used like Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell because that's like a big part of that movie, but they didn't. Yeah, and it didn't feel at all like congruent with like.
And then remember for a hot second when they had like a band in the back.
Like, and then
they're playing like a funky jazz like Radiohead cover, which I love the Radiohead song they were covering, but it was just like what okay, now this is here, and then it was like okay, now an orchestra is here. Like it was just so disjointed.
There were a couple of other ones of those music cues, like Stephanie Beatriz walking out to La Isla Bonita, which is like, I don't know, like you really have to call attention to the fact that she's Latina with that, and also like Rachel Zegler walking out to Begging, because you know how like, you guys remember that?
Oh, that's a little jab. I didn't know. That's actually pretty funny.
that was slightly funny, and I will say Zegler's a good sport. She said when she got on stage, she said, "I never thought I would be here 6 days ago."
Yeah.
So you know, good for her. One big thing that pissed me off was the distasteful in memoriam segment.
Oh my god!
What the fuck was that? Like an opportunity to reflect and grieve and appreciate the life and achievements of people who dedicated their lives to the craft. It's so tone deaf. And Bob Saget and Norm Macdonald were omitted from it. They weren't even in the thing.
So was David Golopoli.
Yeah.
From Walkabout and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a little rough.
I mean, I have no problem, and I talked to Ethan about this in a little bit with Joey last night. I have no problem with them making it a celebration of life and like being having a more of a joyful tone than usual in memoriams. But the good point is, and I was arguing with my sister about this last night because she was like, "It's so good," and I was like, it's pretty good, and then it just kept going, and then there were like they had like 3 presenters, and then they had dancers.
I couldn't tell who was on screen because there's all these dancers in front. Like I like the music, and I think they realized that halfway through, where it's like, did you notice that where they just cut just to the pictures halfway through, like I feel like I don't know, like just all this commotion that was happening on stage. Like
Jamie Lee Curtis holding a puppy.
Yeah. And
talking about Betty White.
I like the actors coming out who like were close with them, telling their stories, like Bill Murray, you know? But having them just come out in the chaos of all this music, or not really the music itself, but just all these people on stage, you know?
But it also is kind of like discriminatory in that it like chooses these 3 actors or people in the film industry that are important and that like need to be like somehow remembered more than the other people, whereas other in memoriams are like non-discriminatory in that they just play the names, and it doesn't matter the order which they're in, if it's alphabetical or if it's in the order in which they died or what. But it just felt very like the rest of the show disjointed, and by this time in the show I was like kind of like just like getting whiplash from everything that was happening. You know, whether it was the way like they didn't have best makeup and hairstyling, which I know was like one of the awards they presented before the ceremony, was the 3rd to last award. That just feels really awkward. And then not only that, with the in memoriam, and then something else that happened that we'll get to. Like it just felt so. And then Kevin Costner's really, really long rambling.
Dude, that was. I remember watching this, be like, "Dog, shut up!"
And Jane Campion was like, "Wow, that was dramatic."
Yeah, wow, that was dramatic. Like. Yeah, no, dude, I totally agree. Like that was something. I don't know if I want to bring this up. There's one thing. I don't know if. All right, I'm just gonna say it, and I'm gonna see how you guys feel. How do you guys feel about their addressal of Ukraine? Was it performative? Was it hyper performative? Well, like, was it too performative? Was it like, because I've heard like, you know, obviously there's the part of me that's like, okay, it's great that because they recognize that the Oscars have a great outreach, you know, and like people in the States especially can like be informed and hear about it and like, you know, take a second to think about that, which is, I think is great. But there's also the critique that some may make where it felt kind of tacked on and doesn't really provide any practical contribution, and it felt like some people would say it would be half-assed, like very performative commentary. Yeah, and like I don't know. I don't think it's inherently wrong, but I do think it could have been done a little bit better.
I feel like
I don't really know how, but I mean that's not my place to say. Brandon, do you have a take on this?
it's better than what Sean Penn was suggesting, which was having Vladimir Zelensky on the show.
Yeah.
Can
I'm
you
like,
imagine?
that dude probably has better things to do than come on the Oscars right now.
Can you imagine he's like bombs in the background and he's presenting Best Picture? And I'm like, why the fuck does this matter? This is a movies award show. Like, as much as it's important what's happening in Ukraine, and everybody knows what's happening right now. Like, it's trending every day on Twitter for a reason. Like, I do think it's like very out of place at this award show. It's great that if stars want to mention it in their speeches, like that's another thing. If they were wearing like those ribbons in solidarity, that's another great thing. But to like to just like have a moment of silence just feels really awkward. And Mila Kunis presenting Somehow You Do, that song from her movie that only I saw.
That song sucks. Oh my god.
It just felt really awkward.
Yeah, I will say the songs for me were just great excuses to go on my phone or to go use the bathroom or get snacks.
Yeah.
That's how I view them. I view them as like the halftime show at the Super Bowl, where it's like, okay, these are not for me, but they're for somebody.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I'm sure there are people out there who love the performances.
And it's just like, remember when Amy Schumer was talking about Ukraine? It's like the violence of women's further rights and something, and then she forgot to say "and trans people," so she said "and trans people" in the middle of like another sentence. Do you remember that part?
Yeah, I do. I do remember hearing that, just being like, "What the fuck?"
I'm just like, I don't. It's just
they're
so
trying too hard.
They're trying too hard. Like I don't know. Maybe get people who actually like care about it. Like to me, when they do that stuff, it seems like they don't actually care about it at all. Like,
and they feel like they have to check it off a list.
Have people talk about these issues and stuff. Like, get people who are actually like involved in it instead of like fucking Amy Schumer. Like, goddamn.
Yeah. One thing I want to talk about before we get to the big one, the Oscars cheer segment and fan favorite segments.
Something.
That was so throwaway.
These I loved.
All right, Ethan. Why don't you lead the conversation on this?
Now, I just loved it because of it just came back and just to smack this. This came back to smack the Oscars in the face, if I will. Little reference to something that happened on later in the show. Just to have something like this, to have the fans vote, to be so abused by a bunch of Zack Snyder fans, was pretty good, honestly. Like, I love that the biggest cheer moment was the Flash enters the Speed Force. Like,
when it wasn't a moment that was seen in theaters. Like,
yeah, like all. That didn't even play in theaters. How is that the biggest cheer moment? How did they even allow that to be nominated? Like, yeah, I think it's better than most of those scenes that they had there. I don't think it's better than the Endgame scene.
Endgame. Yeah, I agree.
Like, I think if all honesty, that would have won. If they like actually got literally everyone to vote in for a cheer moment, instead of just people on Twitter where fans of Cinderella and Zack Snyder can just vote like 1,000 times,
Yeah.
And people who have nothing to do with their lives, I don't know. It was just
funny.
It's just funny. And
it's
like
funny that Johnny Depp movie.
Oh, that Johnny Depp movie. Have you ever heard of that movie, Chris?
No.
Joey's like, that's I had only heard about it because it was on the leaderboard for like top 10 of the Oscar fan favorite. And I was like, what is this? Like, it doesn't look real. And Joey's like, you can't tell me that's a real movie. And he couldn't get over it when we were watching the Oscars because he was like, wait a minute, like, you're telling me that movie was the number 3 fan favorite film of the year. Huh? And I was like, Joey, they're joking. It's the Johnny Depp stands, because that's like the next biggest thing after the Camila Cabello and Zack Snyder stands on Twitter.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. I don't know. And imagine if they cut that out, they would have had time for literally the time that they cut out between the other nominations.
Yeah.
Literally, I bet if you added up all the screen time that those things took, you could have put that back into just keeping the show as it was.
They're trying to be like, oh, it's like they're obviously embarrassed. A lot of people are saying that because they buried it before a commercial break both times, because both of those like are not what they wanted. They wanted Spider-Man No Way Home to walk away with both, because that's the movie of the year because it made all the box office monies and everybody saw it. And also it's their counter to their original solution, which was, we need to have the best popular film award. Remember that they tried to introduce like a few years ago, and then they backed off. Yeah. It's like their alternative, even though they're not actually giving out an Oscar. It's pathetic.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think it's time to talk about the big one. But before we do, I'm going to share my favorite joke from the night, which came out of a certain comedian's mouth when he said, "No one is wearing a mask, just breathing raw dog tonight." I thought that was the funniest joke throughout the entire night. I don't know what it was, but the way that he said that was incredible. And he is Chris Rock, and I bet, and I know everyone knows what we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
He should have been the host.
Kind of explain what happened first, and then we'll get into the meat of it.
Go for it.
Okay. So during Chris Rock's presentation of one of the night's awards, he made a distasteful joke about Jada Pinkett Smith, wife to Will Smith, likening her to G.I. Jane, the titular character played by Demi Moore in a 1997 movie of the same name. Mm-hmm. And in the movie, Demi Moore is bald, and that is the connection. However, the problem is that Jada Pinkett Smith has spoken openly about having alopecia. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah.
And alopecia is a condition that causes hair loss, and hence that comparison that Chris Rock decides to make. When he makes that joke, Will Smith is actually seen briefly laughing as his wife's expression takes a shift, towards disdain and discomfort, which I think is kind of understandable in a weird way. And at which point Will Smith goes on stage and just straight up fucking slaps the dude across the face, not even like a gentle pop. It was like you can see he winds that shit up.
Yeah.
And okay, real quick. Chris Rock took that slap like a champ. That guy did not barely moved, but you can tell the guy was rocked by that. ABC cut the sound due to censorship regulations, but the uncensored version was aired internationally. A lot of videos have come up on Twitter from Australia, UK, and Japan just showing off what happened. Will Smith returns to his seat and yells this out twice. "Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth." And the room takes a noticeable tonal shift. Everyone is on edge, having literally just seen a physical altercation between two high-profile individuals in the industry.
Live.
And the show goes on. The show goes on as though nothing happened. They acknowledge it. There's jokes about it, but it's very kind of eerie and uncomfortable at that point. And apparently during the commercial break, Denzel Washington and
Madea
and
Tyler Perry
and Bradley Cooper are seen talking to Will Smith. I assume comforting him and telling him about whatever advice or what have they. I saw a tweet from the bartender from that night, and he said that the moment the slap happened, nobody got drinks anymore. So you can tell, the little vibe shift right there.
Yeah.
Chris Rock and Will Smith have argued before. He made a joke about Jada back in 2016 about the Smiths boycotting the Oscars, which I won't lie, I thought that joke was really funny. But anyway, ultimately, Will does actually end up winning Best Actor by the end of the night, and he makes a very impassioned speech about defending his family and being quote unquote called upon God. But he also apologized to the Academy for his behavior. it's a really hot button topic. There are plenty of people voicing their support for either sides, and some people are even making the claim that it was staged, which I suppose is a possibility, but I'm not fully sold on that theory.
Chris Rock's not that good of an actor.
This is an ongoing story, but I think we actually kind of got our closure like maybe an hour or two before we started recording, because Will Smith publicly apologized for his behavior, not only to the Academy, but to the nominees, the attendees, the viewers at home, the Williams' family, and of course, Chris Rock. And, like, maybe I'm being overly optimistic, but I can always appreciate a person recognizing their mistakes and taking steps to make them right.
Yeah.
And Chris Rock, ultimately opted to not press charges. So I have a feeling, this is a big point of conversation right now, but I feel like this is all going to blow over in a week or so. Everyone's just going to move on. And that's the large like idea of what happened. But do you guys have any particular takes on this, or is that largely how you guys feel about it?
And Chris Rock, he apologized too. He sent out a thing apologizing to Will and Jada. Chris, as a white man, I think it's my responsibility to have no take on this situation. Actually, I don't think I think the only take I can have is it is what it is, and and I think it's really stupid for anyone to take sides on on a rich dude who tells a bad joke and then another rich dude slaps him in the face on live TV,
Yeah.
I don't know, just like
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Like, let them fight. I don't know. Let them fight. No, but I'm glad they handled it like adults.
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't escalate or anything crazier happened. I'm glad that things hopefully are wrapping up.
Yeah, I wish it escalated.
If you have a take on who is in the right, I just think you're stupid for caring about famous people. I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
the
whatever.
whole thing is just like it's such a like a, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, is this really my business? I feel like because their conversation, like the argument that they're having, seems quite personal. Like it's not really for us to weigh in on this.
Yeah.
And like let them handle it, and it seems like they have handled it. So I'm glad to hear that. Brandon, do you have any thoughts on that, or are you just you're kind of on board with what Ethan and I said?
I have no take. I think they're both in the wrong and both in the right. I think it's right for somebody to make a joke about somebody else, especially if they're rich and famous and at an awards event where this is the thing that happens, even if it is tasteless. Same situation. It's right to descend your family like that, in that manner. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but yeah.
And then like, it's not right to assault somebody on stage, but it's also not right to attack somebody's wife if they have like a condition. So like in that sense, like there's like really no sides here. They're both in the right. They're both in the wrong. I just remember being like so stunned because like
it blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, they cut the sound.
And I was like, that's when I knew. Like I was like, wait, he just slapped, like he just pushed him. Like at first I thought it was like a push, like a sort of thing. And I was like,
I thought it was a fake slap.
Oh.
It looked fake at first from the angle that it's originally at, So I was like, oh, haha, fake slapped him, because everyone was laughing. Like I thought it was a bit at first, but then it got quiet when he started yelling, and then once I realized they silenced it, I was like, oh shit, this is real.
Well, at the beginning, I noticed at the beginning of that sequence, before the Oscars cut back, there was a thing that said the Oscars will continue momentarily, which I think was the broadcast way of like saying, we're gonna keep this in, because there's no way to cut this up in the time that we have, and we're making them wait. Yeah. So we're just going to find a way to mute them. And then, like, I saw it, and I was, like, very confused. I saw Jada's reaction to the joke where she rolled her eyes, and I was like, oh, she didn't like that. I look away for a second, and I look back, and Will Smith pushed him, I thought. And then I was like, what the hell? And they hadn't cut back to the audio, and I was like, oh, shit. And then as soon as they cut to him, I read the lips really well. Like,
Brandon's like, I know exactly what he said.
Yeah, and then and I was like, did he really just say that? And I saw everybody's face around it, and they come back, and I was like, okay, let's see this when it comes uncensored online, because it's coming.
And I was after that, I'm just like, I'm ready for him to win Best Actor. Like, I'm ready to hear this speech. You know, I'm ready to hear see what the room's gonna be like.
Because he deserves Best Actor.
He does.
He's one of the best.
And I don't think he deserves to get his Oscar taken away or get kicked out of the Academy. Like, come on. It's like, yeah, it was a weird situation. They both handled it like adults. You know, Chris Rock's not mad. He's not pressing any charges or anything. You know. Mm-hmm. And like, I think since the situation is settled, like the Academy, like they don't have to punish him in any way, you know?
I agree with that.
Like, if anything, like, why are they punishing Will Smith when they still let Polanski keep his Oscar and the Weinstein, you know? He has all of his thousands of Oscars, you know?
Yeah.
Probably in prison on his shelf. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. It's just, Hollywood is full of these people. And I like the awards to showcase like performances and like directors and even producing that I like. It's just like the people are terrible people. So it's like I'm not happy. Not necessarily. I'm happy for like the movie. I'm not always happy for the actor or actress. You know. Mm-hmm. In this case, I was happy for Will Smith, even if it was awkward. That speech was really bad, in my opinion.
And then he rocketed. Something happened where they cut the feed when he was giving his speech. Remember? And then you hear him say, "Oh, I hope they cut the feed for that part." Do you remember that?
Because I think didn't he say he was spitting up or something?
I think he was spitting up. I think he rocketed out a booger or something. And I'm like, release that.
Because he was crying.
I want to see that. Come on, let me see that.
Yeah,
it's just like,
but it overshadowed the rest of the night. It made me. Yeah. It upset me because it was like we were getting to the big. I'm not saying the below the line categories weren't important, but the Academy deemed it them unimportant by taking them off.
I know what you mean. Like, you know, we're getting to Best Picture. This is the biggest award in the night. You know,
but I felt like Coda's win, which was supposed to be a little more shocking, even if it was one of the top two.
I felt a little spoiled
because of that, and it was just awkward paired with all the other like things, like the dress up and the last duel jig that felt very uncalled for. That was so
random. I remember just like. I bet no one who made that joke saw that movie.
Right. It just felt like super weird and uncalled for. And like, I'm down to like be like, oh, it was underwatched. Ha ha ha. You know, nobody saw it. But like, that's so like low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just really overshadowed the rest of the night. And I liked Coda a lot. I don't know, Chris, have you seen it yet? I don't think
I have not. You have. It's a high on my. I don't have Apple TV.
We'll let you borrow mine. Or we can watch it tonight. I don't know.
1, 2, 3 movies.
No.
Yeah, we had some drama about the Best Picture pick
at our party. We
watched it with Joey. And I'm gonna be honest, like I think Joey's take was a little extreme, but I understand where he's coming from. Where it was like,
it was my number 6. Like I wouldn't have been my first choice either.
It's like going in, you're like, yeah, that'd be a nice Best Picture winner. But now once I stack Coda against like what has previously won Best Picture, you know, it doesn't seem to fit in there. Like I listen, I love its deaf representation in the film, but I've also heard there's also a lot of criticisms against it by members of the deaf community. So that's just another mess, and I just think like it doesn't feel like it's Best Picture made, you know? Like the performances were great, but I don't know if it was like there was just nothing like monumental about it. It was just a really good movie that I saw at the beginning of the year, you know? Like I feel like something monumental would have been like, I think Power of the Dog, you know, is something that like I could see as Best Picture. Dune, Drive My Car, you know? Even like Licorice Pizza, I think that would have been a fine Best Picture, but there's too much controversy behind that. Yeah, I don't know. It's like Coda and King Richard. You and I both agree on this, brand. It's like it's in like the similar category of just like really safe movies that they picked, you know.
And they're very good movies. It's just like Best Picture.
Yeah,
it doesn't make me hate them, but I feel like everybody needs an awards season villain, and they were choosing the wrong movie. They were choosing Coda, not Don't Look Up or Belfast.
Yeah,
at least it felt like Belfast. Oscar bait.
Oh, they chose Belfast.
Just baity.
Well, yeah. I think that's it. Do you guys have anything else you want to throw in there? Any last thoughts?
Give
don't know.
Mass and Come On a watch and pay.
Let's talk about some complete snubs. Shit that wasn't
Alana
even,
Haim for
shit
Licorice
that wasn't
Pizza.
even talked about the show. I'll give you some. Where the fuck was French Dispatch? Not even for some of the behind the scenes. Where was that in production design? Why was
Power
I
of the
don't know.
Dog nominated for?
Power
Well,
of-
they did build the town.
everything was built in Power of the Dog, which I gotta say is pretty impressive. West Side Story, we've seen that stuff before, and most of it's felt fake anyways. So I would have liked to see that over those. Costuming, come on. You know?
Come on.
Come on.
Come on, in screenplay or something.
Yeah.
Or Woody Norman in Best Supporting Actor would have been really nice over J.K. Simmons, who just played himself and being the Cardos.
I think French Dispatch should have been editing. I think that would have won editing. The way that movie is able to translate magazine narrative writing into the cinematic medium through editing is spectacular.
Put that over Don't Look Up.
What? Yeah, but
Put that over
Don't Look Up. Yeah, like the movie where they hold still frames to make matches like sync. Have you seen that? Have you seen that when there's like a scene where they're talking and they're holding on this one dude. They literally hold frames so they can cut back to like Leo when he's saying something else and have like what he's saying sync up to his lips. It's fucking insane.
I don't like it.
No love for Green Knight. That surprised me.
No cinematography.
I mean, not surprised me, but I wish we would have gotten something.
I just think cinematography was too stacked this year for Green Knight. Because I prefer all the nominees over it. I don't know what else I'd nominate it for. Maybe makeup. Because that tree guy, pretty cool.
That's true.
We've talked about like our snubs and all that, and like previously. I feel like
What have you guys have chosen for Best Picture? What would have your been in Best Picture?
Drive My Car.
Drive My Car.
Worst person in the world.
Or Come On.
Okay, out of the nominees.
Mass.
Out of the nominees.
Oh, out of the nominees.
Yeah.
Let me double check the list, but it's probably wait. No, yeah, it's Drive My Car. Yeah, I'm just looking at it's not my highest rated by far, and I can't.
Yeah.
The fact that I can't think of the other ones is probably a good sign that I like Drive My Car the best.
But if you could pick any film, which one would it be? It would be Worst
Person,
Person, and yours would be Mass, Brandon.
Either Mass or Come On. Both are on like equal playing fields for me.
I would have done Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0. I'm just kidding.
No,
I honestly, I probably would have done Drive My Car too, or The Suicide Squad, because that was my second favorite film of the year. No, there's no way that would have been nominated. Yeah,
that's the show, everybody.
Thank
you for joining us. That's a great, quite a year, quite a ceremony.
Hopefully, this is still around a week after. This is gonna come out literally 1 week after the Oscars. So.
And I guess one thing we can take away from this is we know that Chris Rock's next comedy special
it's gonna be
amazing.
Yeah, Netflix was probably like, sign that, get that man a contract right now. Let's get this special out. You know,
yo, keep his name out your fucking mouth.
I think they should let us. I think we should host the next Oscars. You know?
Yeah, not the Muppets.
Not the Muppets. The Stacked Boys. Come on.
How funny would it be if the three they just did that and like
everyone's like, who the fuck are these guys? Hey everybody, welcome back to 98th Oscars.
Honestly, hey,
I see
Academy.
Jada Pinkett Smith is back. Will Smith starts approaching me like a JoJo character. I'd start squaring up, like crying, like, help me.
I'll do the job for however less money you want to give. Like,
I will pay to do that.
I don't know if I'd pay, but
I'd pay.
I would take a very huge pay cut just to host the Oscars.
That'd be so much fun.
Yeah,
it would be fun, and I feel like we actually know what people like.
I would pay to do it.
I'd pay to do it. I'd give $100 to let me host the Oscars. $200.
It's the thankless job in Hollywood. Well, don't give it to Hollywood celebrity then. Give it to like randos off the street.
We would be real Hollywood stars.
I mean, that's a rags to riches story right there.
For as long as I remember, I wanted to be a Oscars host. I know I'd go from rags to riches. Thank you, Tony.
Ba- ba-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us this week.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. We're looking forward to, our next week.
I'm looking forward to this next year of movies. Come on.
Yeah,
Come on.
Avatar 2.
We're slowly starting to warm up for the next
Avatar
big
2.
phase of movies. We're getting
Avatar 2.
there. We are heading into
Sonic
spring season,
2.
which is when good stuff starts coming out after the first chunk of the year is out of the way.
That's
So,
right.
We'll catch you guys soon on the Stack podcast. See you guys later.
Bye.
Eh.